a few too many energies that Kaden would not like to see. However, nothing too impactful. And even the copy of Charcadet, which we are talking about Arceus and Rayquaza, but it feels like Armor Rouge is the glue that holds the deck together. It allows you to transfer energies from the bench to the active. Fire energies have to be, and allows you to play tech cards like this Delphox V. This Delphox V will allow you to attack to Pokemon, right? Put pressure that way, which is not something that Arceus decks are known for. Arceus decks usually don't apply pressure to the bench.
That is very true, and we were kind of discussing before this. Heading into this round 6, we've kicked things off now. This Delphox is a very important piece to this deck, especially in this matchup, though, right, Pablo?
Yeah, exactly. Getting that potential 2 prizes onto Comphase is very important, as knocking out Giratina V-Stars with Rayquaza VMAX can be very costly and is impossible to do with Arceus V-Star. Now, as an Arceus deck, what you want to do is get a turn 1 Arceus V with an energy. That's your #1 goal. Anything else is a bonus. And seems like Tyler will be able to accomplish that here.
Yeah, I feel like that is something that has not gone away with any of these Arceus build decks. Something you want to get done. We're going to see that Charcadet as well come down onto the field. So if you're sitting in Kaden's seat at this moment, I'm sure you're looking at this like, what am I playing against? What is happening? Or do you think maybe Kaden potentially has seen this deck on the ladder online and kind of knows? I haven't seen any cards being picked up yet from what I've seen so far. So
yeah, I feel like as long as you're competitive enough and you're paying attention to like regional tournaments and results, this deck did get featured over at the Liverpool stream last weekend. So if you're watching that, if you're keeping up with the results, it's definitely something that you're aware and you're like, okay, this is now a thing, right? I need to know about it. I don't know how extensively Kaden might have tested against it, but with Lost Impact, one KOing Arceus V-Star with Path to a Peak, potentially denying the V-Star ability, you're going to be feeling pretty decent.
Well, we're going to see these energy come down onto Tyler's field here, both on the Arceus V and the Charcadet, as well as the Rayquaza V coming out onto the bench.
Yeah, amazing start for Tyler. Even gets energy acceleration with the Magma Basin and the Charcadet already there. And that is 2 energies already on the board, which Tyler could use to attack with Delphox V next turn.
Yeah, fantastic first turn here from Tyler Smashey. Passing it over now to Kaden, who's going to bench down a Radiant Greninja, starting off our Giratina play here. We're going to see a concealed cards, drawing into 2 additional cards for the hands. We do see a Colress, so that's the start here. Did you see anything else super important in the hands there for first turn, Pablo?
Well, Kaden is holding a Nest Ball, which a lot of players might be thinking, well, why didn't they play that? Because you want to get Comphase on the bench, right? But as long as you keep the Comphase in the deck, right, your chance of finding one through Colress or through concealed cards is higher, right? So then once you've seen those extra cards that you don't know what they are, if you find Comphase, you can use it to search for Giratina V. If you find Giratina V, then you can search for Comphase. A Battle VIP pass is now found. So I think Kaden can't really ask for much more in this first turn. Would love to find now a Colress off of the incoming Flower Selectings, I believe.
Yep, we're going to see that Battle VIP pass, Mirage Gate, and a switch card added into the hand here for Kaden off of that Colress's Experiment. 2 cards now, also off that Colress in the Lost Zone, an additional switch card in that Spiritomb. Now we're going into the deck off this Battle VIP pass to get these Pokemon out and get an established first turn as well from Kaden. Let's see if our Giratina V-Star player can finally pick things up here and take a win on stream. Nest Ball going to bring out another Pokemon for Kaden.
And Kaden had put the Cramorant at the very top, but unfortunately Spit Innocently reads it doesn't apply weakness, so it would not be able to knock out the Delphox, even if it were used to attack. So I think 2 Giratina Vs is something that you need to do on the first turn. In case the first one gets costed up by that Arceus, gets attacked, you want that follow-up Giratina V to one-shot the Arceus V-Star with Lost Impact, have the V-Star ready to take down that really high HP Rayquaza VMAX, and then find your last prize card somewhere, perhaps with Stabilized sniping that Charcadet or the Armor Rouge, now that it has been damaged by that Magma Basin.
So it's an uphill battle here, but Kaden does have a map to kind of get there, and we'll have to see if that map is followed, hopefully the draws fall in his favor, unlike what we unfortunately saw with John Ang, some awkward draws. But Kaden has the opportunity to take a win here against this interesting deck. Giratina V gonna get to the grass energy here.
We see him be seeking instead of using switch cards to get flower selecting going. Very interesting choice here by Kaden. I guess he didn't have a way to do 2 flower selecting, so then this way you add 2 cards to the lost zone as opposed to just 1. So interesting decision by Kaden. Does also leave the Giratina V exposed. However, this is sort of protecting from the magical fire attack from that Delphox V, potentially sniping the 2 Comfays on the bench. So interesting move right here.
Yeah, that magical fire on the Delphox V. It's 120 base damage, but you can put 2 energy attached to the Pokemon in the lost zone, and then you also do 120 damage, but has to be to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. So you're exactly right with that, Pablo.
Now we did see a professor's research by Tyler looking for that Arceus V-Star. We have seen the DT already committed, but I don't think he found the Arceus V-Star.
Oh no, no evolution here for Tyler. Looks like taking a quick look through the discard pile. What else is in the hand here for Tyler? It's gonna be an escape rope. Kaden having to choose who to promote first off this escape rope. Of course, Comfey, easy selection there. Now that Gardevoir V is on the bench here, Tyler gonna promote that Mew EX.
Now can draw 3 more cards thanks to Rayquaza VMAX's ability, and finally finds the Arceus V-Star right there. That Azure Pulse coming in clutch.
Yeah, absolutely. That ability coming in clutch here, getting that evolution into the Arceus V-Star. Of course, that the energy was placed onto this turn by Tyler. So we're going to have some action here this turn, Pablo.
Yeah, now Tyler debating on what to grab with the V-Star. I think you really want to use it right now because there is a chance the Arceus V-Star goes down to a Giratina V-Star this upcoming turn, and Tyler's hand is not really that great. Does have the Azure Pulse to follow up and draw extra cards along with the restart. However, a Path to the Peak could come down, shutting down both abilities, and Tyler actually choosing not to use the V-Star.
Yeah, no Starbirth V-Star power there. It's just going to be that Trinity Nova to take the knockout on the Comfey. And into the first prize card here for Tyler, Smashey as well. Yeah. Of course, applying those energy onto the field for Tyler and just shuffling up now. It's going to be over to Kaden's side of the field after the shuffle. And wow, that's a hand.
Yeah, now, Kaden doesn't have a fantastic follow-up because of no call risk, but if he's able to find a call risk off of concealed cards or flower select, and is able to take a return KO on this Arceus V-Star with Giratina, and place down a Path to the Peak, Tyler is going to be in a lot of trouble.
Oh, it's just the Battle VIP pass and a Jet Energy being drawn into off this first flower selecting here. We're going to see that Jet Energy discard into a concealed cards. Another Mirage Gate and a Roxanne as well. Not what we want to see here from Kaden. All 4 Mirage Gate in the hand. Roxanne, which of course is a late game card Kaden cannot use at this point in time, and just not a great hand here for Kaden.
All 4 Mirage Gate. You wish one of those was a call risk, right?
Absolutely.
Kaden will have to play very defensively here. We'll probably see a Path to Peak being brought down and possibly the counter catcher being used as a way to try to stall, or the boss's order. That works too.
Boss works too. We are going to see that resistance here from Kaden trying to stay in this game despite such awkward hands here. Abyss seeking into 4 more cards, but still no help. Yeah, no help at all. It's just going to be that Path to the Peak coming down. The Abyss seeking that's being chosen at this moment. 2 cards to the lost zone, 2 to the hands. Manaphy and Nestball hitting that lost zone. So at least our lost zone is ticking up, but that's all we can speak positively about right now. Tyler Smashey, on the other hand, starting off this next turn, evolving into this Arceus V-Star in the active position.
That was Tyler's top deck, so very fortunate top deck right there, and now can use Armor Rouge's ability to transfer the energies all the way up to this Arceus V-Star to be able to take not a knockout, but do some damage. Could also potentially retreat and attack, but that Path to the Peak shuts down Starbirth, shuts down Azure Pulse, but does not shut down the Armor Rouge ability.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Yeah, so what a fantastic top deck by Tyler, and I still think not using the ability last turn was a mistake. But Kaden now has 7 cards in Lost Zone and has all 4 Mirage Gates and Giratina V-Star access. So even though Kaden hasn't been able to find Colress, he will be able to be the one to start this price trade-off.
Yep, there we go. That Armor Rouge with the Fire Off ability, firing off a bunch of fire energy onto that Arceus V-Star to do some damage into this Giratina V here. Not a knockout still on the board, but Tyler Smashey furthering this game state even more here. Kaden, what was the top deck? Did you see, Pablo? Anything?
So he hasn't drawn. He hasn't drawn for turn as he's waiting for Tyler to finish attaching all the energies.
Let's see if it's something good. Colress. Oh, just another
it's
jet.
not horrible,
Yeah,
right?
Because
you can get into the Comfey, look at 2 extra cards, but you definitely want to play Mirage Gates first. You want to get energy out of the deck to increase your chances of finding that Colress now.
This is the thinning that you speak leads to winning, huh, Pablo?
Indeed.
We'll see this happen right now here for Kaden. Mirage Gate going to take 2 energy, of course, 2 different types of energy out of the deck here for Kaden's side. That's going to thin the deck out so that when this Comfey comes into active to Flower Select, there's more options there. Even the concealed cards, there could be more options as well for Kaden in the deck.
Now, Kaden does have an interesting decision to make here. Do you power up the already damaged Giratina V and expose that one to the upcoming Rayquaza V-Star or the next Arceus V-Star? Or do you go in with a clean Giratina V-Star from the bench? Difficult decisions to make.
I think it was just attached already.
Yeah. So chose to go with the active and can't do more things. There's the attachment for turn, so we're not going to see the jet energy into the Comfey. Interesting decisions here by Kaden.
Yeah, very interesting indeed. I guess we could still see the jet energy for concealed cards. I don't know. Kaden taking a look at the hands here still. Oh,
the
Path to the Peak is in play.
Yeah, okay. So we just see attach, evolve, KO, and that's it. So not a lot of digging here, not adding cards to a Lost Zone. I really would have liked to see that jet energy onto the Comfey this turn.
Yeah, just choosing to attack with this already damaged Giratina V-Star, not able to use that Radiant Greninja due to the Path to the Peak. The Radiant Greninja does have a rule box there. Back to Tyler Smashey's turn here. Delphox coming into the active position and these energy being accelerated onto it as well.
Yeah, we're about to see the Magical Fire taking down the Giratina V-Star and this Comfey on the bench. A 3-price turn for Tyler here right now. And Kaden with very little help in his hand other than that Roxanne.
Absolutely brutal here from Tyler as you see him taking 3 prize cards thanks to that Delphox V. Something that we do not see too often, and taking the lead against Kaden Brent here. Kaden just having to promote the Radiant Greninja here, draw for turn. Taking a quick look at the discard pile. But yeah, just left with that Giratina V with a single attachment there on the bench.
Kaden does have a pretty interesting decision here to make. Does he go for the Colress that he did top deck, knowing that Tyler hasn't done much during their turn, but they did just get 3 extra cards from the prize cards? Or do you go for the Roxanne to put them down to 2 cards? I feel like the Colress gives you a much higher chance at finding the Giratina V-Star, but Tyler's hand is starting to build up, and if they find a stadium, they could counter the Path to a Peak. However, Tyler's board, after that knockout, doesn't have a lot of fire energies in play right now, so Rayquaza VMAX is not looking too threatening right now, as reaching for 280 damage is not going to be easy.
Yeah, this is tough here for Kaden, but we'll see what he decides to do. Shuffling the deck now off of that Super Rods, but a couple cards back in.
Yep, did put back the Giratina V-Star, did put back a few Psychics. I'd be very surprised if...
Oh, now we have it. I've been waiting for it. Picking up a card here. Of course, when you're playing Pokemon TCG, you can always ask your opponent to read any of their cards to get some clarity on the matchup. So Kaden, picking up that Rayquaza VMAX, maybe seeing exactly what you just talked about, Pablo, and having that influence the decisions going forward in this turn here for Kaden. We're going to see a Mirage Gate going back into the deck for these energy.
Yeah, now Max Burst, not really a threat right now. There's only 2 fire energies in play, and that's going to be a total of 180 damage. Even with another energy, the Giratina V-Star would not be in range. Tyler would need to find a Magma Basin to get another energy in play, which he is holding. So Kaden really needs to play the Roxanne this turn if he can.
Yes, I absolutely agree here. That's off of a second Super Rod. Okay,
Yep.
I was like, what's happening right now?
Yeah, the second Super Rod getting played, probably for another Mirage Gate. Just trying to thin the resources from the deck, thin the hand, maybe even see an energy attachment of the Jet energy to bring up this Giratina V. And Kaden needs to find a Giratina V-Star this turn. If he does, despite Tyler's very explosive start, he's going to take commanding lead in this game because he'll still have his V-Star attack available to just knock out anything that's worth 2 prizes.
That's true.
Yeah, so I feel like we're about to see a really well-timed Roxanne here.
Yeah, and that is exactly what we're going to see, Pablo. We saw the Jet energy being placed onto that Giratina V, accelerating it into the active position. That Radiant Greninja also has a possible pivot for the future as well, with that grass energy being on there into this Roxanne. This is going to give Kaden the best potential here to limit Tyler Smashey's hand. Just going to go to 2 cards. And that is a tricky situation to be in if those are 2 not too great cards to be working with. So maybe this is the turn where we're going to see Kaden take the reins here, but we still need to see that Giratina V-Star. That's what we're looking for here from Kaden Brent.
Yeah, very important 6 cards. No Giratina V-Star. No Giratina V-Star found.
So many Pokemon, but not the one that we needed here for Kaden. And it's just, was it just a path to the peak as well? Yeah, wow.
Path to the peak and 5 Pokemon. Not what you want to see as Kaden. And I mean, if he had found the Giratina V-Star, he would be in such a good position. Now he's in a really bad one, needing to use Abyss Seeking once again.
Abyss Seeking, going to throw a Mirage Gate and a Path to the Peak into the Lost Zone here, bringing us up to 10 now in the Lost Zone. But exactly, that is not what we wanted to see. We wanted to see a V-Star here, and it's just going to be another Abyss Seeking off this Giratina V. With that is now a liability here with not having that buffed up HP as well. So Tyler Smashey's end of the field here now. Of course, there was that Roxanne to limit Tyler Smashey, but it looks like things are happening here. So Tyler obviously was able to do something.
Yeah, he played an Ultra Ball here along with the 2 cards from Roxanne, but he's going to be down to 1 card in hand, benches the Arceus V, 0 cards in hand, not enough energy to transfer to the Delphox V to attack again. And even if he could, the attack is definitely no longer a good payoff because there's no target on the bench, and 120 doesn't do too much. So I think Tyler is in this situation because he didn't use the V-Star. He chose to save it, but that made him so weak to the path to the peak afterwards, and he wasn't able to like have a good follow-up, establish a stronger board, thin the deck even. Yeah, so this all comes down to Arceus V-Star not using its V-Star when it could, and now we see the eerie glow.
Yep, your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned, which we rarely get to see our burn tokens come out, and confused as well. And we see the roll for that in between. But yeah, that path to the peak carrying so much weight here in this matchup. Kaden Brent finally getting into a Colress experiment here, but what's happening?
No V-Star, which is really, really unfortunate here for Kaden. How do you not find a Giratina V-Star? His deck must have like 10 or less cards at this point. And that 20 damage from the burn is actually pretty significant because with Rayquaza's attack now, a single fire energy will allow Tyler to 1-hit KO the Giratina V-Star, doing 260 damage. So really rough situation for Kaden. Despite the path putting in a lot of work, his deck just isn't putting in the work that he needs.
It is not responding in the way that he needs it to. And I guess that's the story, unfortunately, so far, as we've seen on stream for Giratina V-Star players. The cards are not aligning for some reason. But Kaden going to make the best of this turn here now. Comfey coming down onto the field. The Giratina V inactive, both burned and still confused as well. But just a single evolution would solve all those problems here, Pablo. But we just cannot get it.
Yeah, Kaden, with 1 Giratina V-Star, we would already be shuffling up for game 2 now. Did bench the Comfey, will choose to retreat into it. B seeking is now difficult to use because your opponent is confused, which, as you mentioned, is not something we commonly see. And now, big flower select, but even if that finds a Giratina V-Star, you know, the third card was grabbed, but I don't believe it was seen.
Yeah, I don't think it was flipped. We might confirm that before we keep going here.
Yeah. Oh, apparently it was.
I guess it was. Yeah.
Maybe
Kaden just said, "Oh, I saw the card." Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's.
Oh. Kaden. Is that a scoop? I guess.
I'm not sure. I guess we'll have to get confirmation on that. It looked like a scoop there, but I don't know if along with the scoop it was any sort of I don't know, judge call potentially for that. We're not down at the table, so we can't hear what's going on between these players, but it does look like Tyler Smashey took that game 1 here versus the Giratina V-Star with a very not super well-known or heavily played deck, an Arceus V-Star combo deck here featuring Delphox V and Rayquaza VMAX and Gang, I suppose. How do you think about how that played out, Pablo? Are you surprised? Are you impressed with our players? Are you just bummed because Kaden just could not get the cards? What do you think?
I mean, I feel like this is how I picture Arceus V-Star decks winning. Yeah, it's just like they are off to a strong start, and then at some point they need to hope that their opponent whiffs, and that's exactly what happened. Yeah, the pressure from the Delphox V was a lot. It put Tyler in a very decent position, but not quite enough to close out the game. But Kaden just was not able to find what he needed, and the presence of Delphox did make it so that he couldn't like explode onto the board and have a lot of Pokemon in play. He does play a copy of Manaphy, but he was just not. I think he got lost zoned actually.
Early.
Yeah, so perhaps not respecting the Delphox V Magical Fire. And this is what we were talking about earlier about the surprise factor. And now the Manaphy's prize. So that Delphox V could cause some trouble for Kaden once again.
Now, you're 100% correct here, Pablo, with the surprise factor. It throws you off your game. You don't know exactly what's in the deck. Maybe you're not thinking exactly straight because you haven't worked through these matchups. You haven't, you know, competed against this deck a ton of times to know exactly what you're supposed to do. And it's easy to make mistakes if you're in Kaden's shoes there, but it wasn't even just mistakes or anything like that Kaden was suffering from. It was really just the deck not playing to his favor. Really awkward card draws. Wasn't able to bring things home in that game 1. Tyler Smashey going up a game. Now we're headed into game 2 between these players in our Swiss round 6. Both trying to make it to a 6-0 record here for the day. Tyler Smashey going through the deck right now, starting over here on the right side of the field with an Ultra Ball, discarding a Pal Pad and a Fire Energy.
Now, Tyler going first does mean that Kaden chose to go second. And I feel like if you understand how Arceus decks work and how they want to get a turn 1 Arceus down with a fire, why give them that opportunity? Why give them that initiative, right? Of course, going second has its merits. You're able to play Colress and whatnot, but you're not gaining a lot in terms of being able to hit with Cramorant early, right? But if you go first, you have the opportunity to get a couple cards on the Lost Zone, perhaps, and then Arceus deck just benches an Arceus and attaches to it. And then you get to go off a little bit, get that extra draw. So I'm not happy with that decision to choose to go second against an Arceus deck. Ooh.
Yeah, and I mean, as we were talking about in our game 1 as well, like the Arceus V-Star, it has the potential to draw into even more cards. It was being stopped by the Path to the Peak, but there's so much potential there. So we'll see how that pays out here for Kaden, but at least we see a Colress's experiment now, huh, Pablo?
Yeah, that Conceal card was really strong. The Path to the Peak to shut down Starbirth, and then the Colress experiment, which is exactly what you want to see now. No Battle VIP pass found, no Comphase found, so not the best Colress in the world. And a Giratina V-Star getting Lost Zoned. I'm also not super happy to see that. I feel like you definitely would have preferred to see the grass hit the Lost Zone there.
Yeah, gonna choose to get rid of that V-Star despite the heavy struggles last game that we saw trying to get a V-Star. But Jet Energy is gonna bring Giratina V into the active spot here, and it's gonna be Abyss Seeking is the name of the game here for Kaden, just as we saw in our game 1. Of course, Path to the Peak being put into play as well for Kaden. As we said, going to shut down that Arceus V-Star if it does come into play over on Tyler Smashey's field. Kind of limiting it, Tyler Smashey, but we could potentially see a stadium bump. 4 cards now in the Lost Zone after that Abyss Seeking.
Now, another difficult decision for Kaden there, and chose to keep a boss over a switch card, which once again don't really agree with that, just because you're not really chasing in this matchup. Ooh. You're going to be playing from behind, and we do see the Magma Basin immediately get played down.
Yeah, not only the stadium bump, but such a good stadium here for Tyler as well.
Oh my, but then no follow-up. I feel like if you hold on to that, right, then you might top deck the Arceus V-Star. So unless Tyler has another one, that's a very questionable decision, because Kaden now can play down another path, and then you're down one path counter.
That's true. Yeah, and we see how heavily that played on game 1 as well for Tyler. But we're back over to Kaden's side now. This Giratina V with just 1 single damage counter, thanks to that little Charcadet there.
Yeah, putting in the work.
Putting in the work there. Hey, I mean, as we also saw in game 1, each damage counter does count and could potentially become relevant throughout the game. Kaden searching out that Giratina V here with a Nest Ball. Yeah, Lost Zone still at 4.
Yep, Kaden doesn't have like a lot to do this turn other than play the path and a Bee Seeking probably, but that's good enough when you see such a weak start by your opponent, right? They have, I think, a 1-card hand, might be 2. You know, there's no Arceus V-Star, there's no supporter, and probably no stadium anymore. So as long as this Magma Basin gets countered, now Tyler's options are so small.
Yeah, it's just going to be an Avery as well to draw into even more cards here for Kaden.
Gonna see perhaps a Cramorant spit innocently now in order to take this prize card on the Charcadet, get a little bit ahead. You know your opponent's start is just so slow and so bad that applying pressure and building an advantage in terms of the prize cards gonna be very crucial. And Kaden also, I guess, trying to be a little careful by not overbenching in terms of comfys and whatnot to prevent the Delphox V doing its magic, right, with its magical fire. However, with a lightning energy in play, that's not looking likely in the near future. Oh,
it's going to be a Comfey coming out instead of that Cramorant that we may have thought would be picked for Kaden here, but another Comfey joining the fields. And that Manaphy as well is in the prize cards, so I'm sure Kaden knows that too, but it's going to be the Comfey coming out onto the field here for Kaden. We still have the rest of the turn to work with. That's exactly what you were talking about, Pablo. The Magma Basin came out from Tyler Smashey to immediately be replaced here with another Path to the Peak, putting another obstacle in Tyler's way for this upcoming turn here.
Getting that Comfey and then not using it, I'm just
You're like, what's
I'm not
happening?
sure about what is going on, but all right, we're gonna see the Cramorant get, please don't lost on that Cramorant. No, okay. So it's very ineffective to knock out the Charcadet with your Giratina, right?
Yeah.
At least we're advancing in the Lost Zone. And then Tyler, I think, top decked a Research. Wow.
Top decked a Research. That's exactly what we want to see here for Tyler. Such a slim hand, such little things to work with. But now we have a full set of cards here that at least can serve some utility here. Double Turbo Energy being placed onto this Arceus V on the bench.
Found Ultra Ball, found Double Turbo. The only missing piece is the stadium to use the V-Star. Imagine if Tyler had held off and this Path to the Peak was not there. Then Tyler would be in such a fantastic spot at this point, as Kaden has taken like a very passive approach to the game despite having the possibility to build an advantage. But now we're going to see the path stop the Starbirth once again, and that could be problematic as Kaden has now built the Lost Zone and could respond to his Arceus immediately with a Lost Impact.
Same old story, unfortunately, with that Path to the Peak here for Tyler. But hey, at least we're still able to use this Arceus V-Star now that it's been evolved into. With that Trinity Nova, thanks to the Double Turbo Energy as well, to get these energy accelerated onto the field here, onto that Rayquaza V for Tyler. Back over to Kaden's side of things now, of course, after this shuffle concludes for Tyler's side.
Now Kaden is now holding that Giratina V-Star in hand, so we're not going to see what happened last time around. I would love to see him not make the same choice as last time where he powered up the already damaged Giratina, leaving it very exposed. This time I would love to see the Giratina V-Star on the bench be the one to take the knockout. That way, Rayquaza VMAX needs 4 fire energies in play to be able to respond, and there's only 2 right now.
Jet Energy going to bring this Comfey into the active position here for Kaden. The Comfey that was placed down last turn, now being utilized this turn. But first, we're going to see a Colress's experiment here. Into 5 cards, 3 are going to go into the hand, and 2 are going to advance our Lost Zone here. Battle VIP Pass being an easy option here to put into the Lost Zone.
Now, the fact that Kaden is considering Lost Zoning the Mirage Gate tells me that there was already a Mirage Gate in the hand, so I would have preferred to see like the flower selecting, just look at the top 2, then thin the deck with the Mirage Gate onto the Giratina V-Star, just to prevent you from seeing a lot of energies in the top 5 cards with Colress. So
some different sequencing.
Yeah, a little bit different sequencing. I feel like it's a little bit more optimized in terms of finding better cards, but Kaden in a much better position than last time around, has the 2 Giratina V-Stars ready to go, will be able to take a knockout, will be able to leave them powered up, and Tyler's board not looking very powerful.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you take a snapshot of this game at this point in time, Pablo, who are you favoring in the rest of this match?
Oh, absolutely Kaden. He's going to be able to take one shot on this Arceus V-Star. It will have 2 Giratina V-Stars ready in case Tyler is able to find a knockout with their Rayquaza VMAX. Then Kaden will be able to respond immediately, and Tyler will have nothing left other than 2 energy-less Armarouge and Charcadet. So it feels like Kaden should have this one almost locked up as long as the sequencing is correct, as long as he's able to take the knockouts. And we see the change from last time. The energies go into the clean Giratina V, and therefore the chance of getting responded to is basically 0. You know, if Tyler had a stadium in their hand, they would have played it to get access to their V-Star.
That's true.
And they didn't, right? So it comes down to the potential top deck or draw to potentially find it and find another fire to get a knockout. And even then, the Giratina V-Star then takes down your Rayquaza VMAX.
Yep, Kaden identifying that from Tyler's side of things. Going to go into this flower selecting here, path to the peak, hitting the Lost Zone.
Yeah, you don't care to shut down Starbirth if there's no Arceus V-Star in play, right? You're fine. It's done its job.
It has done its job indeed. But yeah, we saw that change of pace. Giratina V on the bench here, the clean one being attached to. So we already see Kaden kind of changing things up here. Looking good so far, but you can never speak too soon in the game of Pokemon TCG. Kaden going to go back into the deck with Mirage Gate to bring out these 2 energy onto that Giratina V on the bench as well. And the hand is just so much better this time around. A lot more to work with here on Kaden's side of the field.
Yeah, I mean, now has access to Giratina V-Star, so already a huge improvement. And I feel like if you're Kaden, you have to recognize you lost game 1 due to an unfortunate circumstance where you didn't find that Giratina V-Star. You're pretty much going to destroy Tyler's field right now. So I would love to see him play a little bit faster to just finish this game.
Yeah,
and have enough time in what
too.
you have to recognize is a very good matchup for you.
Yes, exactly. I was just thinking that, Pablo, when you're looking at the clock. You have to work a little bit fast, especially if you see that you have a lead here. You want to go not so fast you're making a ton of mistakes.
Of course.
But you want to keep up that pace so that you can have just enough time to finish a game 3.
But now chose not to use the unpowered, I mean the undamaged Giratina V-Star, which is exactly what put him in a tricky situation last game. So this just opens up the opportunity for Tyler. Can Rayquaza V take a knockout itself on the Giratina? Like, why give your opponent that opening at all?
Yeah, it does. I guess we were thinking the opposite this whole time, but Kaden's still choosing to attack with this damaged Giratina V-Star, which is exactly what you're saying, Pablo. Going to open up an opportunity for Tyler to maybe come back here with this Rayquaza.
Yeah, the Spiral Burst will be able to take down this Giratina V-Star. And if you use the undamaged one, you're asking so much more from your opponent. You're asking for an energy attachment, a stadium, the Rayquaza VMAX. Now, Tyler will choose not to do it, apparently. However, not fully happy with this. And now even the Armarouge will be able to take a knockout on this Giratina V-Star, I believe.
Yeah, and a Professor's Research as well, which means Tyler Smashey is going to have a ton more cards to work with here in the hand, evolving into another Armor Rouge here, and benching another Arceus V.
Yeah, now Tyler did find the stadium, can get another energy into play. The Flame Cannon does 90 damage. There's 190 damage on the Giratina V-Star thanks to the Charge Cadet. That 10 damage boo that you were talking about actually matters so much because Kaden is just handing the Pokemon to Tyler that are damaged.
Yeah, that is so true. The cute little Charge Cadet coming in clutch here for Tyler. And we're seeing the other pieces play out here as well. I mean, we saw the evolution of another Armor Rouge here, Arceus V, now down onto the field once again for Tyler Smashey. Going into the deck with Nest Ball, going to bring out this Mew EX as well for Tyler. Adding some consistency to the field.
Yep, and now since they do have the Magma Basin, and that will be the third path to a peak being discarded or lost zoned, now Tyler should be able to count on having abilities pretty much for the rest of the game. So should be able to Arceus to Starbirth, should be able to Azure Pulse, and even restart. So it's going to be left hanging with the low amount of energies after the Armor Rouge, or if the Armor Rouge goes down. But Kaden, if they respond on the Armor Rouge, they're only taking one prize card, making their prize mapping potentially awkward if Tyler held off on the evolution, but we do see Tyler immediately evolve into the Rayquaza VMAX.
Yep, Rayquaza VMAX with 320 hit points there on that Pokemon on the bench currently. Armor Rouge still inactive here for Tyler.
Yep.
Shuffling things up.
Now, we haven't seen energy attachment by Tyler yet. We do see the Magma Basin as well being played, so we'll be able to transfer those 3 energies with Fire Off. We'll be able to take this KO, and his board will be left like in shambles almost. But it's not like Kaden has a fantastic response to this. Like you don't want to Lost Impact or use your V-Star on the Armor Rouge itself.
Yeah, it's just a single prize Pokemon there that you're going to have to work around for the future of these turns.
I guess Boss V-Star KO on the Rayquaza VMAX is a pretty solid play if Kaden is holding on to that.
I mean, that's 3 prize cards right there.
Yeah. And then you won't care too much that there's a lot of energy in play if Tyler can't do really anything about it. Though, we could see Radiant Heatran. I think that's something that we could potentially see.
That's true. I don't even remember the last time I've seen a Radiant Heatran.
Yeah, it's definitely not a very common card.
Well, here we go. That heavily damaged Giratina V-Star being taken off the field here by Tyler Smashey. Single prize Pokemon, that Armor Rouge. Just 12 minutes here left on the clock here in our game 2 so far between these players. Kaden starting us off with a flower, selecting that Lost Zone now up to 10 cards here. Losing that Giratina V-Star, but has another one to be able to respond. We have a 3 prize card Pokemon on the field on Tyler Smashey's side in that Rayquaza VMAX, which could be a potential liability. And Sableye is going to join the party here on Kaden's side as well.
Yeah, I like this. Sableye will be able to snipe off either Armor Rouge. You can definitely go into the boss KO with a V-Star on the Rayquaza VMAX at this point, as Kaden now has more than 10 cards in their Lost Zone, and that's almost checkmate, even though you can't attach the Psychic to the Sableye. So yeah, should be in for a pretty good time here for Kaden, as long as Tyler doesn't attack Kaden's hand.
And that's what we're going to see. Boss's orders, ordering up a Rayquaza VMAX to the active position here for Kaden Brent. And of course, that Giratina V-Star now in the active position on this side. The V-Star token being flipped, only 1 per game. And that Giratina V-Star allows you to knock out anything you want. Doesn't even do damage, it just knocks you out. And now that VMAX wiped off the field here. 3 prize cards down. Kaden only 1 prize card left to take. Let's see what Tyler does here.
Does have the option of Radiant Heatran, but I don't believe he can damage it enough. He can also use Mew EX to copy Giratina V-Star's attack, right? Will Lost Impact that Giratina V-Star right back. And he's going to go down to 2 prizes. Does have enough energy to fire off. However, can Tyler attack Kaden's hand? I believe he can. Now he'll have access to Arceus V-Star. Now we'll be able to Starbirth or an Iono to put down Kaden to 1 card in hand.
Yeah, it's funny to see it being used so late in the game, but we could see that here now, finally, from Tyler.
Yeah, now you have to wonder, wouldn't it have been better to just promote the Giratina V-Star, bench the Sableye, attach a Psychic Energy to it for turn, and V-Star KO the Rayquaza VMAX? Then you'd have game on board. You could have a 0-card hand or a 20-card hand. All you need to do is announce Lost Mine to win the game, or if Sableye gets KO'd, then Giratina V-Star can't just KO anything that's in front of it. So Kaden, by trying to thin his deck as much as possible, is now leaving things up to chance on drawing that Psychic Energy to be able to power up the Sableye.
Yeah, it kind of seems like there's been times in this match where both of our players have ping-ponged back and forth, leaving opportunities open to the other player. And if you can hone in on that and see that from your opponents, go for it. And that's exactly what is happening here now. Just a couple of doors left open, and we could see some spice happen here, Pablo, with some disruption.
Indeed, as the Starburst, I couldn't tell what cards were picked, but one has to be an Iono. There's no way one of those is not an Iono. Oh, well, I guess there is a way.
If there's a will, there's a way. If there's a boss, there's a play. I don't know, Pablo, but Boss's order is going to bring up this Radiant Greninja here.
What? So, copy Greninja, knockout to Comphase, and then Kaden just attach retreats with his 10-card hand and wins the game? Why would you not Iono and Lost Impact the Giratina V-Star?
Pablo, you sound so confused right now, and I love it.
100% confused here. Kaden's at one price card.
The Jet Energy being placed
you need to
right away.
The attacker. What?
The Jet Energy bringing that Giratina V-Star up, and that is going to be our game here. Kaden taking things home. We're going into a game 3. Both our players up 1. I believe it was like 10 minutes left on the clock here.
Yep.
But, I mean, I guess if you're looking at a standpoint of time, Tyler Smashey, I don't know. I still don't understand it, Pablo.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the list. There's 3 Ionos. Not a single Iono had been played. So there were not 3 Ionos in
Maybe
the
there's something we missed.
Maybe there's something we missed, yeah. So this knockout on the Arceus V-Star could have been done with the other Giratina V-Star, but was pretty clutch to deny the Starburst.
Yeah.
And then we saw this knockout with the Flame Cannon, which was pretty cool to see.
Not
something
awesome.
that you're going to see often enough where the 10 damage from Chargers matter. And then we see this really cool but really questionable play with the Mew EX copying Water Shuriken.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Tyler was just giving us a show there, copying the Radiant Greninja here on Tyler's side, taking those 2 Pokemon off the field, but unfortunately, Kaden was able to just come right back. Let's check out these prize cards.
Yeah, I think Tyler might have like tunnel vision into trying to attack with Radiant Keytran on the Giratina V-Star, but your opponent was at 1 prize card, so off to a game 3 we go. Tyler choosing to go first, as that is exactly what he wants to do as an Arceus deck. Creating an Arceus, attaching energy. You have 1 job as an Arceus deck. Tyler has accomplished it pretty well so far.
Yep, it is looking good here. Under 7 minutes left on the clock between both of these players, heading into our game 3 in our Swiss round 6 here in our Knoxville Regional Championship. Rayquaza V hitting the bench for Tyler Smashey off of this Ultra Ball, discarding a Choice Belt and another Ultra Ball.
Yeah, holding an Arceus V-Star and a Rayquaza VMAX in hand, but no Stadium, so Kaden top decks the path to the peak, which will probably halt Tyler. However, he doesn't know that, right? He'll definitely play down the path. That's what you want to do against Arceus V-Star, and that's why going first against them is so important. You have 2 turns to find path before they can Starburst. But off to races with this WoW VIP pass with a pretty decent hand, I believe, as well. So we're finally going to see. I feel like we haven't seen a lot of flower selecting this game.
No, actually, we haven't. Kaden has kind of taken interesting routes in both of these games. They're a bit different and kind of similar at the same time. Definitely some interesting choices along the line, but yeah, definitely a lack of flower selecting, but not really a lack of getting cards into the Lost Zone, because we've seen so much Abyss seeking from Giratina V as well. But this time around, Battle VIP Pass is going to choose 2 Comfey to come down onto the field, so maybe we'll change the pace a little bit, Pablo, and hopefully see some more flower selecting than we have been before. And jumping into that right now, a Comfey and another Battle VIP pass.
Always feels pretty good when you encounter a second Battle VIP pass right there. Going to be able to establish a Giratina V, possibly the Greninja to draw extra cards, or
well, I guess if you're going to play the path,
Yeah, well, I mean, you can draw the cards before.
Oh, true, before
you play
the path.
Yeah, and it's like, it's all about getting to that Colress, right? So you have a guaranteed second flower selecting and with an extra concealed cards, along with the one you just did, and the thinning of 2 cards. That's 8 cards potentially thin or thinned that get you closer to a Colress or get you the Colress itself.
Yep, this is looking pretty nice here so far for Kaden. Let's hope things keep going. Switch cards and a Jet Energy was drawn off of that concealed cards there for Kaden into another flower selecting. Just going to be 2 energy. The water is going to join the Lost Zone there for that Psychic to the hands.
Yep. So we're going to see that very crucial path to a peak. It's one of the reasons why Giratina V-Star is so good right now. That allows you to disrupt. Boss going to go one step further to try to deny that early Trinity Nova from Tyler, we're asking more cards out of his opponent in order to be able to do anything at all.
Absolutely. It wasn't the Colress's experiment for supporter, but the boss's orders putting another obstacle in Tyler's way. But look at this, Pablo. We have both evolutions coming down. The bump of the path to the peak with the Magma Basin and an Arceus V joining the field on Tyler's side of things into a Nest Ball. That is pretty darn good.
Yeah, they have 3 cards in hand for Tyler at the end of the last turn were actually the Stadium and the 2 evolutions. So
nice.
Can't ask for much more, and this will allow Tyler to finally Starbirth on the second turn of the game, get a double turbo, get attacking, and not a lot of follow-up to the hand afterwards, but we'll get that first KO. And with only 2 cards in the Lost Zone and 1 Comfey in play, Kaden won't have a lot of ways to respond, especially with no Colress in hand. So I think this one's not going to finish in time, Boo.
Yeah, I was just unfortunately looking at the time as well, and I kind of tend to agree with you there, Pablo. But hey, I'm just happy to finally see we got into a Starbirth V-Star power early game, establishing some things here for Tyler. I'm sure he would have loved to play this game out a little more, but just under 3 minutes on the clock here for both of our players. So that's a tough situation to be in. Shuffling up now after the acceleration of those energy from that Arceus V-Star. And we're back over to Kaden.
Yeah, Trinity Nova KO, getting 3 energies onto the Rayquaza VMAX, now becoming a much bigger threat as we see a top-deck Colress by Kaden. Very nice.
Yep, that's what you want to see as a Lost Box player here.
Yep, it's what you want to see, but is it gonna be enough though? Yeah, we can potentially Flower Select twice, we can Colress, and that puts us at 6 cards in the Lost Zone, 1 away from responding to that Arceus V-Star. So we might not see a Mirage Gate this turn. We do find the Manaphy, which provides protection from that Delphox V, but gets immediately Lost Zone, so not even that consideration. Yep, not even that consideration. Gonna go looking for that path to a peak. I mean, the resources kept were definitely a lot of value, right?
Yeah.
And with the time left, the Delphox V will probably not be a factor at all. But we might see Kaden, I mean, has the potential to recover the Comfey and Nest Ball it back and then into the Mirage Gate. So we could actually see a response, though. Giratina V-Star is a missing card as well.
Yeah, there's a couple things missing here for Kaden, but slowly churning through these actions here. We have 5 in the Lost Zone now, going to be 6 after this Flower Selecting Spiritomb joining the Lost Zone here for a Psychic Energy.
Now, does have another switch card, does have Jet Energy, does have the Super Odd, so if Kaden wants to have a chance at winning this game potentially, and finds a Giratina V-Star off of another 3rd Comfey, that would be a way to do it, but I don't think he's gonna go for it. And 40 seconds on the clock.
I know. It's always kind of a bummer. It's sort of anticlimactic to see our rounds here end in ties. But this was still a really fun match to cast here between both our players. We're still churning through these turns here. Tyler Smashey finally going to use the Iono here being played for Tyler's side of the field. Disrupt Kaden's giant hands. All of those cards going to the bottom of the deck.
Yeah, which probably Kaden won't mind, right? He didn't have a call risk in hand, so this just gets him 6 cards deeper into the deck to find a call risk, which he actually does find. Now the missing piece is the Mirage Gate, and time is now up, so I imagine Tyler is turn 0, and that gives Kaden 2 turns to draw 6 prizes, which I believe is impossible to do.
Yep, when we hit time, there's 3 additional turns between both of our players here. So if Tyler was turn 0, Kaden will be 1, 2, and 3 to end things. And if one of these players doesn't take 6 prize cards, it is over.
Yeah.
Just going to be a tie.
If Tyler had been turn 0, though, or...
I think Tyler was turn.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Tyler was turn 0. If Tyler had been turn 1, right, if he had this turn to potentially go after the 2 Giratina V-Stars in play with enough resources, Boss's Orders, Rayquaza VMAX, KOs, he might have been able to pull it off. It was a big ask. Needed a lot of things in hand, but this will end in a tie.